Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day today as we approach the last days of November into the festive season. Let's talk about a lovely Christmassy subject, just importing transactions. And that is the worst segue I will begin a webinar with, I can promise you that. But that's what we're going to be looking at today. Sage 50 accounts, importing transactions. An early Christmas present from me to you. I should have went with that one. Anyway, if you've been here before, you'll know the rules. If not, these are the rules. So your microphone is muted automatically. So if you do need to cough or sneeze, don't worry. You're not going to interrupt or interject anything that I'm doing today. You've also got the ability there to ask questions. So there's a speech bubble with a question mark. That's for you. If you've got any questions, ask them. I'm here to answer them. Now, it is only me today. I am flying solo, as it were. So thank you for your patience preemptively. If you do ask a question, I can't get around to it, I will answer you directly via email afterwards. Now, I may be answering questions aloud verbally, and you may not see the question that's being asked, and that's because I'm not replying via text or typing. So again, if you do have the expectation to see other people's questions, you won't in this session. You will only hear me answering them, but I will try my best to read them out to you as I go along, because you never know, you may have the same question. But hopefully I'll be answering all questions. If not, you can download the handout. That is there, black and white copy and a color copy as well. Color copy, obviously leave it on your desktop. Black and white one you can as well. Just click on the links out there for the Help Center articles, or you can print the black and white one out and take notes. I wouldn't recommend taking notes now. Just enjoy the show, as it were. What I would do though is, if you do want to take notes, we're going to be sending you a copy of the recording within around about an hour after this one finishing. And once you've got that, then you can watch it again, or even listen to it like an audiobook. As long as my voice doesn't grate on you, you should be okay. Now, today's webinar, we're looking at importing transactions. So we're going to have a brief introduction as to what this means. Preparing your data is on the menu also, and then we're going to have a look at demonstrations, because I always say this, demonstrations are the best way to learn. You can click along in your program if you want to. It's a bit difficult with importing transactions, and I would steer clear of it in this instance, because you may be importing something that you don't want, but you can always click along the directions, if you know what I mean, without absolutely importing anything at all. During the demonstrations, I've put a couple of errors in there that are quite common when it comes to Sage 50 accounts and phone calls that we get into our technicians. So there's a couple of Easter eggs in there for you, but I'll explain them as we go along. After this, we'll recap with some troubleshooting, some other common call drivers, as we call them, and then we'll have some support and a Q&A at the end. But remember, if you could, just a bit of patience with that one, because it's just me today, just little old me. Now, without further ado, let's begin. I did a week and a half ago run importing records webinar. Very similar process. On that one, we were importing customer records and we were showing you the changes that can be made, i.e. credit limits across the customers. It was another way of doing batch changes. If you were doing, say, online invoices or anything like that at all, it may be worth it just typing them in. You may be along for that one. This importing transactions, we're basically going to be focusing on the audit trail. So why might you want to import your audit trail? Well, if you've got a large amount of data, it's going to be better than manually typing everything in, introducing that kind of human error into the equation. And it brings all the data into your software in one go, again, rather than going line by line by line by line and checking everything twice. All you've got to do is bring it over in one of our template spreadsheets, or a spreadsheet of your own design, and I will show you how to do the mapping on that as well. Now, it's got various uses, as you can see in front of you there, adding new data, the records and the transactions, and updating existing data. So with the records of the customers, with the credit limits, I was saying that around about this time of year, some people increase their customers' credit limits to encourage them to spend more. And then in January, they'll bring them back down again. And that was important in the important records for the customers. In this transactions one, it's not so much about updating and then re-updating. It's once you've imported these transactions, they're in there. And that's it. So this isn't really a kind of, oh, do this if you fancy doing it, when you're importing transactions, you are updating your audit trail. So it's important that everything is correct. Hence, why preparation is key more than ever in this one. The benefits of importing this information is it's going to save you time. And again, avoiding human error, avoiding mistakes. If you have downloaded the handout already, which I would strongly recommend, you can see in the right-hand corner there is a link to the Help Center on how to import data. So for now, if you want to watch the demonstration, brilliant, and you can come back and you can click on this little link here. It'll take you to the website. So next question that we often get asked is, what can you import? Well, right in front of you there, records, customer, supplier, nominal account, product. If you're on a higher variant, you've got your project and your fixed assets register as well that you can import. You've got your transactions, your audit trail. Again, depending on your variant, you've got your project only transactions, your stock take, your stock transactions, etc. And it also depends largely on how you use the program. You might not want to import information that you're not going to use, quite simply. But again, on that link that I've sent you there, it's going to confirm what version or variant you have of the software and also tell you what you import. Another way of finding out is by opening the import wizard. File, import, and you'll see that screen that you've got there on the right hand side, and there's a list of things there that you can import. And for every single one of those, we have a template for you to use as well. And now I'm going to show you where those templates are. But again, if you open the import wizard, you can see here is underlined. If you click on that, it will take you to a folder. And in that folder are our templates. Now, I'm just going to minimize this for a second, and I'm going to show you potentially where it is going to be. So if we right click here, import templates, and just like Blue Peter, here is one I made earlier. Now this is our templates. So if you do click on said link here, right there, it's going to take you to this folder. And in this folder is where we house templates for everything that you can import into Sage 50. Let's have a quick gander while we're here. So if I go to Audit Trail, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, it will open up the spreadsheet or the worksheet that we're going to be using. And it is this one. Everything in teal or turquoise or blue or green, depending on what you see in front of you, that is mandatory field. So you must have something in these columns in our template. Otherwise, the data will not import. It also must obey the laws. And what do I mean by laws? Well, for example, the account reference can't be more than 8 digits, or 8 characters, should I say. And so if you've got a 9-character account reference, apologies, but that's not going to get imported in. You're going to have to do some alterations there. Anything in yellow is absolutely up to you if you want to import it or not when it comes to the audit trail transaction full template. But we've got them for everything right about here. If I dip into the nominal record full template, you see difference. There's only one mandatory there. Everything else is completely up to you. But it's quite handy if you're going to start recording data to use these rather than your own. And I'll show you for why in the demonstration. So you can use your own file. You've just got to, again, make sure it obeys the rules that Sage wants. And those are the fact that it should be an XLS, XLSX, or a CSV, comma separated value. All these are Excel spreadsheets that can be imported in. If you've got it in a different format, a Word document or a different form of cell-based program, then it has to be converted into one of these in order for Sage to accept it. Nice and simple. Now, I did touch upon it briefly, but I am going to hammer the point home again, as I always do. This here is imperative. It is a must before you import any data into the program. Backup. And for those of you that haven't heard me say it before, I'll repeat it again. It's a lot easier to restore back to a saved position before any errors happened or imports happened than it is to delete and unpick what you've already done or what you've imported in. So for me, if you're going to take anything away from this session, please let it be back up your data. Because once you've imported it in, it is irreversible. And again, if you're going to import in 100, 1,000, whatever it could be, transactions, it's going to be a bit like Hansel and Gretel in the snow. when you're trying to find your way back to where you originally started. I'm trying to incorporate as many wintry sayings as I can in this session. I'm feeling Christmassy today. But yes, back up, back up, back up. Now let's go into the demonstration. The mechanics of this are very similar, if not identical, to when you import any other information into Sage, because the wizard's going to do it for you. So forgive me if this seems repetitive, but repetition is key when we come down to learning. So I'm going to be going over the same things routinely. I'll try and make them a little bit different so you can see, what errors look like and how to fix them and what have you. So there is Sage 50. Now, I haven't created a data set in particular for the demonstration today. I'm using my data management tool data set that I use when we do data management tool webinars. And the simple reason for that is because importation is that easy. I don't have to prepare a company for it. The most I have to do is make sure that if I'm importing a transaction against a company or a client or a customer or supplier, that they exist in the program, or the nominal code exists in the program, depending on what I'm importing. So let's begin. First things first, file, import. Now this is a user exclusive area of the program. What do I mean by that? Well, it means that nobody can be logged in whilst the manager is importing records. And there is a reason for that. It's because you don't want to be importing records if somebody else is in the program updating theirs. Because if I'm busy typing away transaction 299 and I import at the same time transaction 299, everything's going to fall apart. Sage isn't going to know what's going on, what should be numbered where, and we're going to get errors. So it is an exclusive area of the program. Only one person can be in it whilst the import happens. Sounds like a big upheaval, a big uplift, but it's really not once you see how quick the process is. So first things first, what I would do is I would guide you here. If you wanted to start using the templates, I'll demonstrate that it opens that folder that we looked at before. But backup is important. So always back up. I'm not going to in this instance because I already have done. But please back up. Next, we'll move on to step 2 in the import wizard. And we're going to be looking at audit trail transactions. Now, audit trail grouped is something, it's down to how you want to process. I'm not going to be demonstrating it today, but you feel free to practice it. What this will do is it'll pick up certain transactions and identify them as they should be in a grouping together, i.e. journals, JCs and JDs, and identify the values of one having. They'll put them all into one line rather than multiple lines in your audit trail. So if you like a nice short audit trail, that's a good one for you. It's still going to be available to see in the activity. In this instance, I'm going to keep things simple and I'm just going to do it how it looks in the program anyway, which is audit trail transactions. Just a standard one. So once I've made a selection about what I'm going to be picking, I will click next again, and data source. So this is the spreadsheet that we've been talking about. Now I will click browse and I will go to my import transaction files. I'm going to be using this one here at the top, transactions, and this is using the template. Just to demonstrate this to you, I'm going to click open. And this is what I'm going to be importing. You see everything in turquoise, teal or blue or green, whichever you see, is going to be completely filled in. Complete, I should have just said there. And then we've got obviously lighter mellow yellow kind of colors available for you there as well, all with the input information already input in. We've got the types that can be imported here. Now, make you aware, PPs, purchase payments, cannot be imported. So if you are importing a transaction into PP, you will have to change that manually to a PA. And the reason behind that, not to get too intricate with it, is if you import PPs, it can bypass the reconciliation, which means that your books wouldn't reconcile correctly. It's not a bug in the program, it's just a natural thing that occurs. So the easiest thing to do is to stop that PP being able to be imported. What you can do is make it a PA, a payment on account, and then go into the program later and allocate it to where you need it to be allocated to. That's the only kind of drawback on importing, which isn't a major one. I think we can all agree it isn't, be all and end all. So this is what I'm going to be importing. As you can see, everything here matches what I'm going to be having in the program itself. So I will highlight what I want to import and I'll click open. Now this section here, first row, contains headings. As I said there, the titles across the top, they're the headings. If I didn't have titles and it was just raw data, then I wouldn't tick this box. I would just import each column and then name them as I went along. But because I do have headings and they're all in the first row, I will include them. So I'll click next. Now what Sage is going to do, it's going to automatically map for me. I'm going to touch on mapping in a moment once I go through our own version of the spreadsheet. But because all the words match, if I can show you again, all the titles match what is going to be mapped in. You see here, type, transaction type, account reference, nominal account reference, etc., etc. You see, this is where it's going in Sage on the right. This is where it's coming from on the spreadsheet. And this is an asterisk if it's required. So this is spreadsheet. This is Sage. Now, the spreadsheet title matches the Sage title. Therefore, it's automatically mapped it. So a map is a route from A to B, in this instance, from import to Sage. So all these titles match because I'm using Sage's template, so there's no extra work for me to be doing here. Once it's successfully mapped, which it is, I'll click next. I'm not going to save the mappings file, I'm going to touch on that in a moment. And then this is my menu, import. This is what I'm importing. I'll click yes. And Sage will do its thing. It'll have a quick think. And once it's had its think, it has showed me everything has successfully imported. So because I used, again, not to hop on, but because I used the template, everything was successful there. Couldn't go wrong, really. Now I've got an option, and you could do this, is just click print, and it'll show you what was imported. Once you've clicked print and you've saved it to your desktop, you might never, ever view that file again. But on the off chance in 6 months that you want to see what was imported because there may have been a mistake or X, Y, Z, you've got it there in a little folder called imported files. And it can't be altered or adjusted. It is a copy of what has been imported. So it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it in that instance. So what we do, we click close, and then we can have a look at our transactions, and we can see if the transactions have been added, which obviously in this instance they have. As you can see, the posted date is the 26th. It's not the date of them, because obviously the date is the financial year that I'm currently in, 6th of April 2024, but the posted date, which is today. That's how I know what has been posted and when. How easy was that? Let's try another one. File, import. I will always back up. Data type, audit trail transactions. Excel worksheet. Click browse. Salary journal. Now let's have a quick look at this one. So this is a salary journal. Slightly different setup, but as you can see, all the JCJDs, normal codes, etc. So I had a quick check of that one there. Close this down. And that is the one I'm going to be importing. So salary journal template, click open. Oh no, first Easter egg. So eagle-eyed amongst you there might have realized what I did. What I didn't do even was I didn't close the spreadsheet down before trying to import it. So I will close it, let Sage know that I have by clicking OK and click open. Very popular core driver that, believe it or not. And then I'm going to click next. Now in this instance, it hasn't pulled everything through that I wanted it to because I'm using a different kind of field. So I've got a map on. So if I clear map, click back, then click next again, you'll see that it is loaded again. Now let me explain that in detail because I went over that quite quickly on purpose. So I was using what's called a saved map. So when I went to import a different kind of template, a Salary.js template, the mapping didn't match. So what I would have to do in that instance is click clear map, doesn't delete anything. All it does is it clears all of this column on the left-hand side. I'll do it again, clear. Click back, and then click next again. And now Sage is going to reread that spreadsheet as it did. It's going to re-input the titles there. Hopefully that makes sense to you all. It is another common call driver. Hang on a minute, the titles match, but it's not automatically doing it. It's because you can see here, map file in use. None now, because I've cleared it. So anyway, I'll click next, look at the menu, all fields have been mapped. Happy days. Brilliant. And I'll click import. Oh dear, Easter egg number 2. So error in record 3, nominal account reference, non-existent nominal ledger account. So quite handily, what you can do from this area is click on edit import and see exactly what Sage is trying to tell me. So if I just slightly minimize this so I can show you again, error in record 3, error in record 4. Now you may think that this is record 3 and 4, but it's not, because remember you've got to include these titles. So record 3 and 4 are actually here. It will be 4 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what's it telling me now that I've identified them? Reference to non-existent nominal ledger account. Well, I think we've got a grasp of what's happened there. I don't have a 221 or a 2214, sorry, or a 2216. One being student loans and one being deductions. So what I'm going to do in this instance is I'm going to go to my nominal codes, new, and quite simply just add them. 2214. And that was, I believe, student loans, wasn't it? Keep me right if I'm wrong. And click save. And then I'm going to do 2216. And I believe that one was deductions. And click save. So now I've created those 2 new nominal codes. There, no balances at all. I'm going to go back to import, so file, import, back up, as always, especially now that I've made a change I would do. Browse to the file, click open, next. Sage is doing its thing, automatically reading because the map was cleared. And I'm going to import. Ta-da, as they say. Everything is now imported. Just to double check, measure twice, cut once, as it were, I will have a look at my transactions list to see that everything has been imported. And there we have student loans and deductions there. Quite simple, isn't it? And that was with 2 errors. So next, file, import. Again, it's going to be quite repetitive. This audit trail transactions is what we're going to be looking at. This time, we're going to have a look at direct debits and standing orders. First row contains headings. I'm not even going to bother to look at it this time because you know what I mean. Going to click next, count references, all in, forewarn, next again, and click on import. There we have it. All the BPs are in and the PA there. Remember, PAs can be imported, PPs cannot. I would then print, put it in that lovely little folder that I've created, and click close. Let's do another one. File, import, audit trail transactions, browse. This time, direct debits and standing orders, my own file. Click open, click next. Now, jumped a bit. You see this part here? This is an interesting part of it. So if I go to my import folder, and I'll show you my own file that I'm using, there's a couple of things that we want to look at here, isn't there? You'll notice the lack of color or shade on the titles, and the titles don't actually match, or most of them don't match what's actually in the program. So Tran, ACNO, NOM, NET, VAT, they don't match, do they? So what's happened there? The other thing that we want to note as well, bear with me a quick second, is this part, the worksheets at the bottom. So this is, if your import file or sheet, should I say, is part of a larger document that people are using, maybe marketing are using it, maybe the sales team are using it, depending on what department you've got, there may be multiple sheets at the bottom of here. You're only wanting to import one of them. Instead of copying and pasting into a blank worksheet, you can still import from that specific area. You've just got to let Sage know which sheet you're working from. In this instance, it wasn't test, it was definitely direct debits. And obviously this is because of the fact this is demonstration I'm making is this as simple as it is. Once we've identified the correct sheet, we know that it contains headings. I'm going to click next, and this is where it's going to come to the mapping section. Because if you're not using the template, Sage is going to say, well, what's going where? Please tell me. So Tran is type, account reference, ACNO. Nominal account reference within is NOM. But you notice they picked up the date and the details, and that's because those actually match. It's very rare that somebody spells date other than DATE. And I've never known anybody shorten the word date to anything else because it's quite short as it is. But the other ones, account reference, is quite common, isn't it? Details sometimes is DET. I've seen that done before. I don't agree with it, but I've seen it done before. You've got net amount, then you have to select tax amount. In this instance, it was VAT. Now, if you're importing, and you're only going to be importing from this sheet moving forward, and you're not going to use the templates, you might think, well, Matt, I'm going to have to map it every single time. That's going to be annoying. Well, we thought about that, and that's where you can save your mapping. So if you map everything how you want it to be, click on Save Map. As you can see, I've done it previously here. I'm going to call it Audit Trail Transactions Test in this instance. Let's pretend these two are different mappings. I'm going to click Save, and it'll tell me here what file I'm using, what map I'm using, sorry, Audit Trail Transactions Test. If I wanted to switch it to this one, it would tell me what map I'm using, which you can tell is blank. If I wanted to use the original, there we are, Audit Trail Transactions Personal Record, MAP. So it's going to use that one. I'm going to use the test one. So I've given you another clue there as to one of the issues in the core drivers is my maps are incorrect, but I made them myself. It might just be a case of having to select the map that you created for that spreadsheet. Because if you've got different areas of information that you're importing into the program, you may have saved multiple maps. So just make sure you're using the right one on that. Once you have used it and you've selected the correct one, you can always double check. I will just have a quick glance down, click next, and then click import. Et voila. Superb. So you can see the mechanics of this. It's getting easier and easier as we go along, isn't it? Back up, audit trail transactions, browse to the files. Now we're going to have a look at illegal transaction type. Have a look and see what that means. So I'm going to load the map. Oh, my Excel has just decided to fail for a second. Thank you, Microsoft. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Let's see if this map's going to work here. My Excel is just slowing down my PC. I don't know if you can see. Let's have a look. So we're looking at illegal transaction type. Hopefully it's going to open. No, that one is crashing every time I'm opening it. But that was going to be a demonstration of a PP not being able to be imported. To be honest with you, I can explain it as much as I possibly can. But what we do find, if we head back to the slides now, is that the most common kind of issues that technicians receive on the line are on the left-hand side here. So we covered one of them already, import file still open. That's simply just having that Excel spreadsheet still open when you click on it. Illegal transaction type. So in this instance, when you're importing your audit trail, it would be having a PP in there. If it was a different area of the program that you're importing, it may be the fact that you're importing a record that doesn't live where you're trying to put it, i.e. a nominal record into a customer account. It wouldn't exist. It wouldn't happen. The logistics aren't there, so it's going to be an illegal transaction type that you'd be importing. An unbalanced journal, this is one to be wary of. So if you're recording your journals on your Excel spreadsheets and all the dates don't match, when you import it into Sage 50 accounts, Sage 50 is going to pick up on those dates. If you've got one for the 26th of November and all the rest are dated the 25th, that journal's not going to balance, is it? So you'd have to make sure the dates all match, as well as obviously the journal balancing itself. So you've just got to be sure and prepare the information to be imported into Sage. Sage has been designed in such a way that it doesn't want to import mistakes. So as frustrating as that can be when you don't know, why is this not importing? Sage will tell you in that line that I showed you before, remember with the nominal records, they didn't exist. It will literally say, I'm not accepting this data because of this reason. Once you resolve that reason, I'll take the data. So it's important that you always read why things are happening. Now, a frustrating thing as well, and I think it's just the way that Excel has been built and developed over the years, is sometimes if you've got a formulaic spreadsheet or something that has previously had formulas in it, or it's even just had previous information in a certain cell which is now being deleted, that can quote unquote corrupt that spreadsheet. So you may take in 100 to 150 lines worth of manual input data, but on line 77, if something's been input and then deleted, that cell, through no fault of yours, might be corrupt, or it might be holding residual information. So when you go to import it into Sage, Sage is seeing two versions of information in the same cell and it's going to reject it. Now, it can happen. I had that call a few times when I was a technician. The easiest fix to do in any situation where you're struggling to import is copy the entire set of information that you've got and paste it into a new blank, fresh, crisp worksheet, which has never had anything input into it whatsoever. File, save, and then try and import it. I'm confident to say 999 times out of 1,000, that's going to solve the issue. And it's just really the way that Excel's been constructed over the years. It's one of my favorite programs because I'm a bit nerdy, but it does have its faults, and that is one of them. Sometimes it does hold on to residual information. Another one is blank line. So blank line could be if you're typing in or your bank receipts or bank payments, and you're separating them out into two sections, should I say. So the top half of the spreadsheet is going to be BR, the bottom half of it's going to be BP. It's a great thing to do because you can monitor what's coming in and what's going out. But if you've got a blank line separating those two sections and you go to import, you're literally trying to import blank information into Sage. That's how Sage would see it. It'll be, hang on a minute, that's a blank line I've picked up on here because there's information, suddenly none, and then loads of information again. And Sage will ask, what am I doing with this blank line? So the easiest thing to do is just delete that blank line when you're doing the import and then reinsert it again once you've finished the import. It's nice and easy. So yeah, the import errors in front of you there, that article is going to give you all the answers to any questions that you've got. Speaking of questions, we haven't had any at the moment, so hopefully I've covered all angles for you, and we've still got a wee bit of time left. So while I wait for some questions to come in, go to sage.co.uk/help if you do need any help or advice with any areas of Sage 50 accounts. It's the first place that I would guide you to. Search the knowledge base, just type in what's happening, what the problem is, into that search for answers bar. Look at the support guides. Look at previous webinars as well that we've run, because the answers will be there. Look at the videos that we've made as well, because often we make webinars out of the videos and videos out of the webinars. So it's all kind of two different angles of approach for you. Failing that, get in touch. If you've got the telephone support subscription, get on the phone and give us a call. If not, use the chat function. And there's humans at the other end of laptops there trying to help you out. Speaking of human, non-human, AI is obviously here. So Copilot, integrate with Sage 50 accounts, it is saving people bags of time. I'm a big advocate of AI. So also, if you have any queries about that, feel free to email me on it. Hopefully I'll be able to shed some light for you on what its capabilities are. But the best person and the best place to learn more about Copilot is with Michael, and he runs the Copilot webinars almost bi-weekly now, to give people updates on what our AI engine is capable of doing and what it's doing. We've been told, and it's been quoted, that we are 12 months ahead of where we should be with our AI integration. So that's fabulous. We're really, really market leading when it comes to the capabilities they can do. Just a few of them are on the screen there for you. But again, more interested in that, and you've got more questions on that, head over to sage.co.uk/webinars and sign up to one of the webinars with Michael. You'll go through it all with you, not a problem at all. Still no questions. So I think I must have covered off everything that you needed to know. Look at that. And we've done it under time. So if you're in charge of your day, go and have a cup of tea. If you're not in charge of your day, just say Matt from Sage said you're allowed. I'm sure that'll get passed. But what I would ask you to do is complete the survey for me. We read absolutely every single comment and we thank you for them in advance. Anything that you want covered in the future, let us know, because we do build webinars based on your demand. So if you've got any ideas, topics, any subjects that you're a bit stuck on, let us know. If it's been created, we'll send you the link. If it hasn't, we'll look at creating it for you. But again, if you could just take that 2 minutes to fill in that survey, it would be wonderful. But I'm going to let you go early. And if I don't speak to you before the end of the week, enjoy the rest of it. Have wonderful weekends. And hopefully I shall see you all soon. Bye for now.